First order of business is to get this hardware off. I never thought it would be this dirty on the inside here. It's time for the best part. Let's add some color to this dresser. Hey everybody, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher and welcome back to Flipmas Day 3. We've got a French Provincial on our hands. These pieces make my heart so happy because they truly look good in any color that you choose. I've done pink, I've done blue, I've done black, I've done white. And today we're going to do a new color that I've never done before. So I'm so excited, and stick around for a little while at least to figure out what color this is going to be. Our candle scent of the day is spiked cider. It has really great notes of apple and then a little bit of bourbon. Such a great fall and winter smell. Available on our website, fournierfurnitureco.com. And let's talk about this piece. I got it on Facebook Marketplace. I told you how much I love French Provincials. I drove 1.5 hours to get this piece for $100. First order of business is to get this hardware off, but you know me, I cannot have a French Provincial without keeping the original hardware intact. So it's gonna go in my bucket and we'll clean it up and put it back on at the very end. So don't quote me on this, but I have a feeling this is not real brass because of the weight of it. It's super light, and usually if these are brass, they're gonna be a lot heavier. So that will kind of determine if they can be cleaned up or not, but we'll save those for later. Next up, we're gonna clean the piece. All right, so it's time to clean, and I am gonna be using Lily Moon's Furniture Prep here. I've got it in a spray bottle already. So what you do is you take the Furniture Prep solution and then you add it to some water. So that's what I've got in here. Just much easier to apply, and then of course it lasts a lot longer. This is meant to be diluted as well. So before we actually go ahead and clean the piece, I'm gonna take out all the drawers. I like to take out the hardware first because there's just really a lot of dust and dirt underneath that hardware. And then I'm gonna take out all the drawers and number them because inside also needs to get cleaned. I number the drawers so that I know exactly where they get put back, because each drawer has a specific spot that it belongs. And if we put it back in a different spot, it might not fit correctly. Labeling them is a little bit of an extra step, but it's gonna save a headache in the end when you're trying to finagle which drawer goes where. Never thought it would be this dirty on the inside here, but it's gross, just like the typical piece of furniture. The outside really wasn't too dirty, but when you get into the inside, it's just one of the dirtiest parts. But it's important to just start fresh, get everything cleaned out, see if there's any dust bunnies back there that need to be gotten rid of. I just use the same cleaner that I use on the outside, on the inside, because it's just gonna help get rid of all that dust. So the cool thing about this cleaner is you don't have to rinse. It's a non-rinse cleaner. So cleaning is finished, and I just need to make one repair before we move on to the scuff sanding portion. I noticed when I took this drawer out that this drawer slide was a little bit broken. So there's a whole chunk off, but it's still here. So we can just go ahead and take some wood glue, clamp it back together, and let it dry. All right, simple as that. Next, we scuff sand. I've got my Surf Prep sander. I've got a 120 grit sandpaper and then a sponge foam abrasive as well. This is going to just really help me get around the curves. The drawers are curved, so this will really contour to it. And then of course, when we get over to the French Provincial, they're all about the curves. So that's why I really like to use that foam abrasive because it's going to really kind of shape itself around each and every curve. So we're not damaging the curves that are on the dresser. We want to keep them all intact because that's the best part about a French Provincial dresser. So scuff sanding means that we are basically just going to roughen up the surface a bit. We're gonna help our primer adhere, we're gonna help our paint adhere, and it's an essential piece in getting a longer lasting finish. I used the same sanding pad for all 9 drawers, and now it's just not as abrasive as it was when I started. So when I'm moving to the body, I am going to go ahead and just grab a new 120 and continue scuff sanding on the body. So now comes the fun part, a little bit more time consuming, but it's going to be so worth it in the end. We've got the scuff sanding done, and now we're gonna take the top to raw wood. One of my very favorite French Provincial flips that I've ever done is actually taking the entire piece down to raw wood. So check that video out. We'll link it right up here. Which side is it on again? I forget. Anyway, we're gonna do that same thing with the top here. So I am going to switch out my 120 grit sandpaper here and the Pro Foam pad here for an 80 grit, and because I'm just doing the flat surface at first, and once we move on to the curvy parts again, we'll add more foam back. We're really gonna be putting the Surf Prep to the test because I'm gonna set my timer on my watch, and we're gonna see how long it really takes me with just my Surf Prep to get this finish off. .30 and 53 seconds and 7 sanding pads used. We got this baby sanded down raw. So I was having a little debacle in my head, and I wanted to figure out if I was just gonna sand the top only and stop here, only staining the top and painting up to this line. And the other option would be to sand all of this smooth. So first of all, I didn't know if this was gonna be wood or not because this is a very, very thin veneer on the top. So I've gotta be super careful around the edges especially. But as I kind of started just to smooth out some areas, I am seeing that it is solid wood, at least this portion is. So I'm gonna go for it. We're gonna sand back this little detail. So for that, instead of using that interchangeable pad, I am gonna be using an actual Pro Foam Surf Prep pad. And this is a medium grit. It's not very dense. And so it's going to be able to really contour to every single little curve. So again, we don't lose that detail. All right, it is time to prime. So I got all of this wiped back, all the dust, so that it's not gonna clog up my primer here. I'm gonna be using the Lily Moon Paint Eclipse stain blocking primer in the color gray. And I'm going with gray. There's white and gray available. I'm going with the gray because that's the closest match to the color that I am going to be painting it. I always try to, help my paint really last the longest. So if I'm going into a darker color, then I'm going to go with gray versus a white that's going to basically make it so bright you might need more paint to cover that white. The reason that we're going to be using the stain blocking primer is because, as you can see here, there are a lot of areas that I have busted through the finish here. That's where you can see all this light wood, and there's chances that the wood tannins, the colors in the wood, could pop through when I paint it. And we don't want to pop it through. We want that to be all sealed in, so that's why we're going with the stain blocker. The stain blocker also has a little bit of a bonding primer in it, so we're kind of getting like a 2-in-1 here. But if you're not worried about the stain blocking, but you still need a bonding primer, there's also a clear bonding primer available as well. These are available in the 32 ounce as well as the 16 ounce. And we're happy to say that we are now selling Lily Moon paint on our website, so you can visit that at the link down below. I'm just gonna use an oval brush here, and this is going to help me get really great coverage. Alrighty, now that the primer is dry, it's time for the best part. Let's add some color to this dresser. So, to begin with, I was for sure set on a certain color, and then the more that I thought about it and I was looking at all the paint colors that I have, I was like, I think I want to go with a different route. So I polled you guys on Instagram, and you came out with the color that I didn't choose at first. So first up was Gillyflower, and then I was thinking about Magnolia Garden. And the poll said that 65% of you, over 500 of you, wanted me to go with the Magnolia Garden. So that is the color that we're going for. It's a really pretty greenish, grayish color, and I'm excited to try it. Never tried it before, but I do know that it's Lily Moon Paint's like one of their top sellers. So I think it's about time that I go ahead and try this color out. And I'm gonna go ahead and get it mixed up and on the piece of furniture. All right, it is time for coat number 2 here, and this has such great coverage that really the only reason I'm doing a second coat is because of the protection aspect of it. So the Lily Moon paint, you need to do at least 2 coats in order to make the top coat work correctly. The Opulent paint has the primer and the paint and the top coat all built in, and it's strongly recommended to do the full 2 coats, even if you're pretty much getting full coverage with 1 coat. Now, it's not full coverage everywhere, but it's pretty dang close. So we'll definitely be getting full coverage with the second coat here. I just wanted to talk about a couple of tips when you are using the Lily Moon paint, or really any paint for that matter. You don't want to overwork this paint. The more that you kind of brush and brush and brush, the more you're gonna overwork it, and it's gonna have a hard time really self-leveling out. So that just means that you wanna make sure you're not going over the same areas too many times. And then another tip is that a little bit of paint goes a long way. So I'm not dipping my brush in very much paint each time, and I'm still getting really great coverage, and I'm still able to cover the entire drawer with like 1 or 2 small dips of my paintbrush. If you're getting too much paint on your paintbrush, then you're just going to end up with a bunch of drips and a bunch of extra paint that then again isn't going to give you a great finish. So keep that in mind when you're utilizing the brush with the paint. You just want to dip it in a tiny bit. Like I literally just dipped the end of my paintbrush in here, and then this amount of paint will pretty much last me this whole entire drawer front here. That's how great of coverage this paint is. And then that's just another sign that you just don't need a ton of paint, which then means that I can use that jar of paint for yet another project, and it'll last me a long time. It does depend on what color of paint you're using on like how great the coverage is, just because different colors are made with different pigments, meaning that it's easier to get full coverage with certain pigments. But when you're using like a yellow or even like a red or a darker color, you might need a few more coats to gain that full coverage look. But in this case, 2 is definitely gonna do the trick. It's time for the top of the dresser. So I decided that I'm gonna go with a wood top. Got it all sanded down, all the details and everything, and now we're going to do a mixture of some of Lily Moon Paint's smoky gel stains, and they are water-based and they have a built-in top coat. You can choose if you want to add an additional top coat. Because this is a top of a dresser, I think I'm going to add additional top coat, but does have it built in. The colors I'm going to be using are reclaimed wood and wooden barrel. So the reclaimed wood is actually a new smoky gel stain that they just added. They added 4 new ones with a collaboration from Born in a Barn Boutique, and the other 10 are gray as well. So there's 14 different colors now, pretty much from white to tan to brown to gray to black. Any color that you can imagine that would like be a wooden color would be in their 14 color lineup. So in order to apply this, I'm going to start with the reclaimed wood. I am first going to mist my area here, and we are going to use my mister bottle to do so. This is just going to help the wood stain kind of soak into the veneer here. And then I'm going to take my chip brush and basically spread it all the way around the top here, and then we'll wipe it back with a lint-free cloth. Now that we've got that first layer applied, I'm going to wipe it back with my microfiber cloth here, or my lint-free cloth. All right, sweet. We're done with the top here. Now we get to focus on the hardware and then reassemble this piece. All right, so for the hardware, I think I like it, the patina look, which means basically I'm gonna leave it as is. I need to clean it at least. So I'm just gonna take my Lily Moon furniture prep here and kind of just give this a little scrub down, nothing too crazy, but we're gonna see just what a little bit of a scrub does to see. I don't really want to take the patina away too much. I just really want to clean it so that it's actually clean and it looks a little bit better. And that way it looks a little bit more new. But after putting it up against this color, I really like how the darker looks as opposed to like maybe spray painting this gold, because I really don't think I'll be able to get this cleaned back to the original. Like I said at the beginning, I don't think this is real brass. It'll just be kind of darker like that, which I think will really pop well on the kind of gray-green color we've got going on. All right, let's reassemble and get done. All right, it's our last step. We are going to go ahead and apply the top coat onto the top of this dresser. Now that this is all dry, I absolutely am so glad that I went ahead and did that like extra layer of the darker color. I think it honestly like brought out some more of the wood grain, gave it some texture look. So now we're gonna top coat it with some satin clear coat by Dixie Belle. This is my go-to top coat every single project. Unless I'm feeling some type of way, this is what I use. So we're gonna go ahead and put it in my little jar here. And then I have been really liking applying it with this blue sponge. It is a round sponge. I just kind of dampen it a little bit and then it just slides that top coat right over the top, super smooth. And also it's like less likely to have any cloudiness or any like streaky lines going through it if you use this sponge. Kind of just like to apply it at first, and then once I've got some top coat on the entire thing, then I'll go in a nice pattern like straight across to smooth everything out really nicely. All right guys, we got a done piece. Let's show you the final reveal. Did I mention I really love French Provincial pieces? This one came out so well, better than I could imagine. I am so glad that I went ahead and chose the Magnolia Garden. So if you're following us on Instagram and you voted for Magnolia Garden, thank you for pushing me to do that color instead of the gillyflower. I still plan to use the gillyflower on another flip, but I'm glad I chose this one for this specific flip. And I'm really glad that I went ahead and kept the neutral, natural top as well. I loved putting those two gel stains on top of each other and really like making my own custom top here. I think that that is the beauty of all of the available products, like the gel stains, the paints. You can really make it your own. All right, guys, is this good on me? Yeah. Woohoo! We sold the French Provincial. I posted it this morning and it went a few hours later. She found it. She said, is this available? Let me come pick it up right now. And she was actually very excited. She was like, oh, goody, goody, it's available. And she came right away. We helped her load it up and she loves the piece. So that is what I love to see. I sold it for $495. So that gives us a profit of around $350 with all material costs and the piece cost. So not bad for a few hours of, well, 5.5 hours of sanding and then some painting, but you know, it's all fun. Now we're gonna get this piece ready to go out the door. I am so stoked, and if you guys want to feel this excitement, it's so exciting and exhilarating whenever you sell a piece of furniture. Check out our link down below in the description and get in on our course and spraying course. It is so much fun. All the information is down below. Oh my gosh, we sold the arch. So I think September is when we got that piece, maybe August. We'll give it a little time. August, September, whatever it was. It took a few months to sell it because it was a higher ticket price item, but I really wanted to hold out for that entire price. So I had it listed at $12.50 on Facebook Marketplace, and it had been up there for a couple months. So she had asked me if I would go down to $1,000. I said, sure, why not? And she came and they got it. So super exciting. Hold on to your high ticket items until that right buyer comes along. And then if you have to go down a little bit, have that threshold to where you're like, okay, I don't want to go any lower than this. And then that right buyer will be on their way and it will all work out in the end. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed Flipmas number 3. I can't believe we're already 3 flips in. Are you kidding me? That means only 9 left to go. Get subscribed down below so that you don't miss an upload this month or any future months. I'm so happy to be bringing you 12 flips this month alone. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I know that I am. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. Well, since last December, honestly. So thanks so much for watching. Again, all links are down below in the description. Don't forget about our scent of the day, our spiked cider candle. It is so good and it really fills the entire space with this beautiful aroma. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the flip side.